Hey, Life Group leaders, Keenan here for week 8, and we are discussing the incredible story of Queen Esther. And as you guys read through chapter 2 of Esther tonight, there's so much to unpack, including the story that's beyond the second chapter. But feel free to really dig in and settle in the person and character of Esther, even early on in the story. That she had these deep, deep roots in her heritage as a Jew, and yet found herself in such a precarious position in a land that was foreign to her people. And yet she still was able to stand firmly on the promises and the heritage she has in God, the God of the Israelites, the God that had moved mountains prior, and she had faith that he was going to continue moving them. And so as we ask ourselves all the time, especially in the Christian world, for such a time as this, what could God be asking us to do? We could put ourselves in Esther's shoes, but maybe the question to ask yourselves as a group tonight, and maybe as you close, is what did Jesus do in such a time as this? He chose the cross, right? So maybe we can see some of our own story in the story of Esther, but how can we see Jesus' story in the story of Esther? How can we see Jesus facing down the greatest enemy of all, not a powerful, bloodthirsty king, or maybe not a manipulative secondhand man that was whispering in the ears of a king. Jesus looked down the long, difficult road to the cross, defeating sin, hell, and death itself for our sake. And he stood on his identity as the Son of the living God for you and for me, to rescue not only the Israelites, but all the people that would come to call upon his name. So as you guys gather tonight, may we just recognize Jesus for who he is through all of these incredible building character stories. They all point back to him. And yet don't forget that God still uses us today, this side of the cross. He fills us with his Spirit, and he leads us to stand in such a time as these. So obviously, it's important to consider where God might have you planted. Maybe it's in a workplace, maybe it's in a school system, maybe it's in your family for such a time as this. And you can trust that through his Spirit, he will inform you, fill you, and lead you into the understanding that he has for you in those moments where you can influence people for the sake of the kingdom, for the sake of the gospel, and for the sake of their souls coming to know the one who gives abundant life, Jesus. So have a great group. Know that we as a team, we're praying for you. We're pulling for you all. And we just thank you so much for hanging in community, for experiencing the life, the abundant life that is in doing this all together. And we look forward to the weeks ahead that all God is going to do in you all and in us for the sake of Greater Portland.